Hey everyone, welcome to our special webinar about how to uncover the shopper search you may be missing. This is a special session. Today we will cover how to research inside GenAI tools and searching directly on retailers and marketplaces and how really the user is changing their behavior and searching on top across different channels and journeys. I'm Roy from Similarweb's product marketing team, and today I'm joined by three of our experts, Daniel, Nathan, and Rice. Nathan, maybe we can start with a quick introduction.
Hey everyone, I'm Nathan. I'm a customer success manager for Similarweb on the enterprise team. I've been at Similarweb for a really long time, so a lot of the stuff that we're showing is really exciting because we've been waiting a long time for this.
Daniel, over to
Yeah,
you.
sure. I'll go next. So, hi everyone. My name is Daniel. I'm a principal product marketing manager also on Ray's team with Rice as well, leading retail intelligence. Very excited to see you all and to talk to you today about the exciting changes that we're seeing and to share some of our insights with you.
Amazing. So my name is Rice. I am product marketing manager for AI search intelligence and which helps brands surface and show up in AI conversations. So yes, really excited to be here today with everyone.
Amazing. Thank you, Rice. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Nathan. So we've got a great session ahead. If we can move to the next slide, including a live demo and plenty of time for your questions. At any point of the session, feel free to drop those into the chat, and we will answer the questions, and we also have time at the end of the session with dedicated time to answer all of them live. Today, we'll start with the basics. How shopper behavior has shifted and why tracking multiple search channels matters so much today. Then we'll dig into the key use cases across these channels and the key metrics you want to keep an eye on. We'll focus on how to tie it all together into one single, holistic, connected workflow with real-world examples. And not surprisingly, we will focus on the World Cup that hopefully you're all watching closely with a real example of one of the main sponsors of the World Cup, Adidas. But before we do that, we want to get a better understanding of the audience understanding of the changing behavior of user behavior today. So we have a quick question for you. Try to be honest when you answer that. We are really interested to know what percentage of shoppers do you think already use GenAI tools during their initial discovery stage? So do you think it's around 10%, 25%? 35% or maybe over 50. We are getting the results and the numbers in just a few seconds we will show you the answer. All right. Looks like there is a very close uh, tie there. All right. So roughly, it will give it just one more second, then we can unveil the results. So roughly a third of you said around 25%, another third over 35%, and almost a third over 50%. Only less than 15% of you said around 10%. So if we actually see the actual number according to our data, you are so many of you were around the right number. The answer is C. More than one in three consumers now say that they use AI tools right at the discovery stage of their journey when they're just starting to look for ideas. So, according to our recent report, we actually saw that American shoppers find GenAI tools most useful during that early brainstorming, filtering phase when they're just thinking about different brands, different solutions. And another 35% of them use tools like ChatGPT or Gemini right at the starting line to just get initial ideas and brainstorming. So what's even more interesting is that about 3 in 10 of those shoppers stay inside those AI tools to research options and compare alternatives before they click. So that's exactly the kind of conversation we want to tell you about today and how it's really important to track different channels and different types of search and behaviors across different journeys and avenues. Rice, before I hand over to you, any comments on that number? Is that surprising to you, or that what you see when you speak to customers?
Yeah, I think it's increasingly prevalent that like people start from AI and like use AI to assist their decision making and also making a short list of brands using AI as well. So not surprising to me, but like yeah, it's like becoming like more prevalent and more normal in in search behavior and shopper behavior. So I'll take it here from the the stats that we saw in AI. But if we take a step back, it's actually not just AI that people are searching on. Like they're searching on different platforms, and throughout their user journey, like they will land on different platforms, and the way that they search is also very different. So, starting with GenAI, where we were looking at just now, people who ask questions in AI are often asking deeply personalized questions, like things like if I'm training for a 10K and I have left feet, what kind of running shoes should I be looking for? And so those questions help shoppers like niche down their shortlist, understand what kind of products that they're actually looking for and what brands there are that they could be exploring. So when it comes to Google, it actually becomes more of a brand and product exploration. Still relatively broad and general, but like it's becoming more specific. For example, best stability running shoes for 10K. And moving forward from search, when people have like more information about brands and products, this is when they move into marketplaces and retailer sites, which is when they're most of them are already purchase ready, transactional, and they might be searching for something that is very specific with brand names and also shoe sizes, etc. So all in all, people are searching not just in one platform, they're searching everywhere, and their searching behavior is also different across these platforms. So even though people are searching on different platforms, the reality is that a lot of brands, and from our research, 73% of brands are actually failing to track and integrate their visibility across these new search channels. So a lot of these brands are only watching one or two search channels and like perhaps missing, for example, the retailer perspective or missing the AI perspective. And so they haven't been able to integrate the visibility across these channels and getting a holistic view of everything throughout the whole journey. And so that's why it's actually very important because like if you don't see the new search channels that are emerging and integrating that visibility, you're not just losing insights, you're actually losing demand and traffic share. So you're losing ground to your competitors who are instead paying attention to these new search channels. So from a brand perspective, it's important that you keep an eye on not just one search channel, but across the full search journey for your brand. So to win today, your search strategy cannot be siloed. You cannot just use one channel to inform your full strategy. You need to be aware of the other search channels as well. And so that's where I wanted to pass to Daniel, who's going to walk through a little bit more in detail how you can do that with Similarweb.
Thank you so much, Rice, and thank you also, Ree, for the introduction earlier. So first off, I think what we want to remember here is that consumers don't think in AI, Google, and retailer search, right? We're talking to you as the retailers and the brands. Ultimately, consumers are shopping both on and offline, but each of those very different search channels answers a very different question. And Rice just mentioned and showed right now that differs very significantly in the stage of the consumer. But Similarweb is in a unique position to help you stay ahead by connecting all of those three views into one holistic understanding and overview and workflow, right? And part of our session, what we're going to do very shortly is we're going to break this down and we look at it from a perspective of threats, right? We are a competitive intelligence provider, and we really want to make sure that you as a business understand those threats and keep an eye on what it is that is going to help you when it comes to, for example, visibility threats. Who's winning your audience attention in AI? When we think of direct threats, like direct traffic, your website, who's taking away traffic and market share on traditional search on Google? And then there's category search. Category threats. This is something that we haven't been covering a lot up until now, but we really want to make sure that you guys understand that they're interconnected. What do we mean by that? Is that there's the website, the direct traffic, but there's also understanding inside a specific category that you're competing in, who is gaining ground on the digital shelf, and which retailers are seeing the most growth and you need to be aware of, right? We're quickly going to walk through each one of these, starting with visibility. So when we think of AI, we know that this is a brand new discovery layer. It's top of mind. And what we have at Similarweb is very, very unique. It's not synthesized or model data. It's real prompts based off of real user conversations inside LLMs, right? Across a range of LLMs, which is honestly something you won't find anywhere else. And why is that important? Because right now, most shoppers are using chatbots for product discovery, not for the final purchase. They want to understand what it is that they need, right? That's why the prompts are a lot of times longer, much more specific. And we help you track that traffic and the referral trends that are important to you and allowing you to know exactly how much real traffic any site is getting from chatbots and how that share is moving against your competitors, right? This is really, really important to understand in the context of this search, right? This is essentially a key search channel. And then we have also on the GenAI side, we have our brand visibility tracking. And what's interesting is watching shoppers move through the whole journey from an AI prompt into Google, into a price comparison site or any other review site, and finally onto a retailer site. We know that there's a connection there. And that's the new shopper journey that we're tracking, and we're helping you with the brand visibility tracker to see which prompts are driving demand, how visible you are in those answers, and who else is showing up in those results, right? For brands, the question that's top of mind is, are we being recommended in that first conversation? And for retailers, it's, are your products and assortment showing up at all? Because it's no longer about ranking number 1 or number 5 or 20 or in the top 10. It's about being mentioned. And if you're not mentioned in the conversation, then you're missing out on that opportunity. And then obviously, if we continue further, we have Google search, right? The traditional threat, direct threat, which is still the biggest marketing channel, in no way going away. I think that's very, very clear to everyone on the call, but it's a key validation stage, right? Shoppers are comparing brands and alternatives before making a decision. So basically, this is something we can't neglect. We can't skip it and move only on to from GenAI right into the retailers. We need this as well. We need to connect the dots. The job here isn't just chasing SEO rankings for the sake of it. It's about understanding demand intelligence, right? We're looking at which keywords are growing, what is seasonal, who actually is owning the SERP, and which terms are the ones that are driving that the most. And what's interesting here is that brands and retailers are actually looking at the exact same data, but they're asking different questions. So if you're a brand, you're probably looking to understand, are we losing non-branded demand, like running shoes, to competitor? And if you're a retailer, your question is something along the lines of, is there a brand that's actually winning for that branded search that we're not stocking at the moment? And it's a way for us to surface that and to make sure that we, in the future, add them to our assortment. So that's the perspectives that is at mind. And then we have the third bucket, which is the category threats. On-site search. This is the highest intent channel there is out there, and it's something that you have to have in your strategy, right? Like the two other are also crucial, but here what we're seeing is a shopper is typing into a retailer's or marketplace search bar, and their digital basket is basically ready. Their wallet is ready to pay. They're telling the retailer what they want, and that's what they actually intend to buy. So for brands, this is where share of search meets share of shelf. In other words, we don't just show what people search for, we show which products actually rank for that search. So you know how to improve your product pages, right? The content inside, and ultimately win more visibility. For retailers, it's about closing those assortment gaps I talked about and understanding what shoppers are actually looking for that is missing in your store right now. And then ultimately, if you add that, you will also feed that directly into your AI visibility and SEO performance as well, right? So it really, really feeds into the whole flywheel. And we want to remember that it varies very much by retailer. So you'll have to follow the traffic wherever your shoppers are actually at and how they're behaving in each different market and across different retailers. We know that it's not going to be the same. So I think if we now want to bring this all together, what we want to bear in mind here, and this is what I want you guys to walk away with before Natan's demo, is that it's not 3 separate search channels, right? It's not three separate teams that are doing something. You need to work holistically and understand where your consumer is at across these 3 different channels, because ultimately the connected dots and a single workflow will result in higher visibility and more ultimately sales for your business, right? So instead of dealing with separate disconnected keyword reports and dashboards and Excels, you're bringing these insights into one single workflow where it feeds into each other and ultimately results in better results in each area. So if you're in GenAI, it helps you understand and answer critical questions such as, are we cited when they research, ensuring that that actually is the case. And then you want to jump over to Google to figure out what are consumers searching for, lets you size up the competition, understand who else you weren't thinking of was competing for you outside of the immediate competitors. And then lastly, looking at the on-site search channels that either you are currently selling in or considering to sell in. And bottom line, understanding, are we there when they want to buy, right? And at the end of the day, this single flow is exactly what Nathan is going to show you right now in our platform, which is amazingly available to see in a single flow. And I'm very excited for that. So before we pass it over, and I'm going to hand it over to you in a second, Nathan, to take us away. I do want, while we're waiting for that to happen, we're going to ask you another question. And ultimately, bringing back to what we just discussed right now. Where are you currently optimizing your search presence? Are you already in additional channels, not just Google search and GenAI? Are you, in other words, omni-channel? Are you still mainly focused on traditional Google search? Or maybe you're actually mainly within retailers and marketplaces, and you're basically either a brand that is less selling directly, or any other reason for that matter. But we'd love to hear your take on this. It will really help us understand where you are at, and Roy will circle back and share the results after Nathan's demo. So I'll pass it over to you, Nathan, and thank you all for listening.
Thanks a lot, Daniel. And
Sure.
thanks a lot, Roy and Rice, for hitting this off. I'm going to ask the question I always ask, which is, can you see my screen? And just 1 second. There we go. Okay, so we should be looking at the Similarweb platform under traffic and engagement. I'm now looking at Adidas, as we mentioned, the current sponsor of the World Cup in America. So really a fascinating brand to look at. We're comparing Adidas to Nike, one of their biggest competitors, as well as some of the bigger retailers out there. So we're looking at Dick's Sporting Goods, Nordstrom, and Goat. This is in the past 6 months. So we're looking January to June of this year in the US. And we can immediately see the breakdown of the total visits. This is just pure traffic to these sites during this period. I'm going to click on year over year because I want to see what's happened comparing these 6 months to the 6 months previously. We do see a big growth, certainly Adidas getting a nice 28% increase during this period, but also Nike, Dick's Sporting Goods, and Nordstrom also seeing a nice increase. Again, this is just purely traffic over time. So I want to focus exactly what we've been discussing until now, which is where this traffic is coming from. And that's going to be in marketing channels, which, by the way, is actually one of my favorite sections in Similarweb. Anyway, I forgot to mention, I'm going to be covering a lot of functionality on the platform. I really recommend you guys should log in and try to follow along with me. It's the best way to understand and to learn what I'm covering. And it really just makes much more sense if you're doing it yourself. We will probably be covering features that you might not have on your platform. So feel free to reach out to your CSM or AM or anyone else to get hold of this for a demo. We're looking at the channel breakdown now. And this is the classic breakdown. We've got organic search, paid search, etc. Of course, they're all important in different ways, certainly in this industry, but it's hard not to notice the huge mountain around GenAI right now. This is clearly the fastest growing section of the different channels bringing traffic to these players. And it's something that you really want to take advantage of right now. Now, we've got the nice channel growth overview. And again, this is year over year growth, but I'm a big fan of the marketing focus square. This is a nice color scheme showing me the change over time, year over year, between all the different channels for these different players. We do see organic growth continuing to be important. Interestingly, for everyone but Goat, we do see an increase in organic search traffic. But clearly, again, it's hard not to notice the dark green colors of the GenAI right now. There's just a huge increase in traffic from GenAI. Specifically, I noticed around Dick's Sporting Goods, 442% growth. So clearly, they're doing something well regarding GenAI. The next step after this is then to jump into the different sections. So I want to look into GenAI and see what's actually going on. And then, of course, we're going to go into search as well. Now, as far as navigation is concerned, we have a section called AI Search Intelligence on the platform. And we've got different sections here to look at. Specifically, I'm going to be focusing on AI brand visibility. This is actually a campaign that you can build. So this is the one I built pretty recently, actually. Campaigns are built around brand names and topics. So in this case, we're looking at our brand, Adidas, the sponsor of the World Cup in America. And I just made a bunch of topics, FIFA World Cup, but also gym shoes, men's sneakers, etc. And as far as the platforms we're looking at, this is ChatGPT, AI mode on Google, Gemini, and Perplexity. So we've got a really great way of looking at these AI assistants and the performance of brands on these different players. The metrics at the top are brand visibility. This is telling me from just the binary of whether or not my brand, Adidas, appeared in the results of the prompts connected to the topics. And the brand visibility score is pretty good for Adidas, 30%. Brand mention score is looking at all the different brands, and it's going to be smaller because this is basically saying out of all the brands mentioned in all of my responses, 11% were actually to Adidas. Again, not bad and worth comparing. It's nice to have a brand overview, but my favorite part is going to be the prompt tracking. This is, as Daniel mentioned, this is a list of real prompts tracked by real users. What we do is we anonymize it, we cluster them, and we normalize them. But really, this is actual prompts of actual people searching. So I just jumped to the prompt tracking side now. And let's start by looking at the FIFA World Cup. That is the topic of importance. This is ChatGPT. We've got this really great list of real prompts that people are searching for. Um, so one that might stand out to me is okay, how do I figure out my size for a national team jersey if I'm between sizes? Actually, I've got kids, and dealing with sizes with them is difficult, and they are really asking me right now for for jerseys for football teams they're into. So, oh, you're American, sorry, soccer teams. Um, and for that, I want to start diving in deeper into this. We've got this really cool blue button. So for each prompt here, I see the data around the prompt. I'm going to click on this blue button, and that's going to pull the full prompt for this question. How do I figure out my size if I'm between sizes? We do have the full prompt from ChatGPT, so we can really pull this great prompt. And by the way, it's not just from the API, it's the actual prompt that appears on the assistant. And then I'm going to focus on the brands mentioned. In this case, it's going to be Adidas, Nike, and Puma. So three important brands mentioned. By far, the most powerful part is going to be the citations. This is going to be actual links on the web that are cited by ChatGPT when giving this answer to people. So we're used to on search, we have content, we have metadata because we want to try basically improve my success, my visibility on search. With the world of Gen AI, citation is the way to do this because this is really how people end up getting traffic to their specific. Sorry, hold on a second. There we go. Now, this is really cool looking at the FIFA World Cup, but I want to focus on something a bit more commercial. So I'm actually going to go to a different topic, which is going to be running shoes. So now I've jumped to running shoes, same list. You'll notice the visibility score is actually already lower. We're actually seeing a lot of brands, a lot of questions where Adidas doesn't turn up, which could be very worthwhile to look at. Now, I actually want to focus on something like Nike here. I see Nike's doing really well. What is this? I run in the pavement most of the time. So what outsole or cushioning features matter most? So again, let's click on this magic blue button. Where were we? Nike, there we go. And again, we've got the question. I run on pavement most of the time. What outsole and cushioning features matter most? We've got the responses, so really this full response. Now I'm going to look at the brands mentioned, and I see Nike, REI, so the retailers as well, and Runners World. And what's really cool about this example is we see exactly why Nike is doing well because they've got great content on this question. They've got a bunch of blog posts about how to choose running shoes, when to deal with different kind of running. So this is a really great example of how we see what's causing their success and we see where they succeed, especially if my brand, in this case Adidas, is not doing well. So this was a really great view on AI brand visibility. I'm sure you guys can imagine I can go on forever. This is a really cool section, but I wanted to focus on a bit more traditional bread and butter world of organic search, which is still hugely important and should not be ignored. So now I've moved to the SEO intelligence keyword research side. This is where I can plug in different retailers or players and get a full list of all the organic keywords sending traffic to these players. So again, we're back at Google. We're looking at organic search for Adidas, Nike, Dick's Sporting Goods, Nordstrom, and Goat. I'm looking at the organic traffic and keeping in mind these are very different kind of websites. So you can sell very different things on Nordstrom and Dick's Sporting Goods, say, than Adidas and Nike. And that's why we've got this massive list of keywords, 2 million different keywords. So the first thing I want to do is I want to click on highly competitive. This is a really great way of making sure the keyword list is relevant because these are keywords that are going to be relevant for every one of the players. And we see the nice overlap in the colors. So we're looking at running shoes, soccer cleats, ballet sneakers. My favorite one, by the way, is number, I think it was 40 something. Here, number 41, because it's just a misspelling. It's running shows spelled wrong, but this misspelling still brought traffic to Adidas, Nike, and Dick's Sporting Goods. So it's really cool to look at. Now, I've got this really nice keyword list. What I want to do with it is actually turn this into a keyword list. A lot of my clients know I'm a huge fan of keyword lists. I think they're a really great way to understand the internet and also just understand categorization of whatever my topic is relevant for me. So I can actually click this and I words from my highly competitive keywords and turn this into a keyword list. I'm lucky for you guys, I actually already did this. So I'm going to move to the SERP player section, and I called my keyword list Adidas Keywords US. And this is just exactly the keyword list I was looking at here. This is a really powerful breakdown of all of the websites in the US that are gaining organic traffic from my keyword list. So we've got this nice breakdown over time. And what you'll notice is we're not just looking at the brands, right? We're looking at Dick's Sporting Goods, etc., but also YouTube and Instagram. Not surprisingly, my keyword list is very important and brings people to YouTube. And I can really go into this further and I can see the nice breakdown over time. But more interesting is I'm going to go down to the full organic traffic breakdown. This is a list of all the domains gaining traffic from my keyword list. It's nice to see them by themselves. So for example, I can see there's a player like Kids Foot Locker, which I wasn't even aware of before, and I see they get the 7th place, so very important. But what's really cool is I can actually expand on the keyword level based on my list. So let's look at something that stands out. US soccer, 600% increase recently. Not surprising because of the World Cup. I'm not going to click all keywords, and I'm going to see exactly what keywords are bringing this increase. And it's US World Cup jersey, US World Cup jerseys. So definitely important keywords for one of the topic of the World Cup. I can also look at like Runner's World, which is number 12. And here we'll actually see best running shoes for men, much more traditional stuff. Running show. Ah, there we go. There's the misspelling, number 4, running shows. But in general, a lot of normal keywords, very generic running sneakers. This is showing that Running's World is a very important competitor to consider. So this is really gold. This is really a full list of my competitors and the keywords that they're competing with me at. So this is just really helpful if I'm trying to take advantage of the organic search traffic. Okay, to recap, I've been looking at where the traffic is coming from, both from an AI perspective and from a traditional Google organic search perspective. The next thing that happens is once people have searched for these topics or brands, they will then end up on the retailer websites. So for that, I'm going to move to this super exciting section of Similarweb. I was going to say new, maybe not as new anymore, but still to me it feels new. And this is the retail intelligence on Similarweb. And it's just one of the most powerful things that we've provided, because this lets you choose any of the retailers out there and understand a full analysis of how your brand is performing on these actual retailer sites. So we're right at the top, brand and category performance. We're looking at the category of athletic footwear, clothes, shoes, and jewelry. And we've chosen Adidas as our hero brand. I actually chose 11 different retailers. I can choose much more, but this is a really good focus. So we're looking at Amazon, Dick's Sporting Goods, Dillard's, Goat, JCPenney, Kohl's, Macy's, a bunch. So these retailers are going to be very important. And I really want to see, as Adidas, where I stand, how I'm competing with my other competing brands on these retailer sites. Let's start just by looking at the brand view share. So we see 4.6 brand view share for Adidas, and the click share is 4%. We have this view of the retailers and seeing how these retailers are competing. I'm used to Amazon dominating. Usually Amazon is like often 60%, 70%. In this case, not so much. We actually see 41% to Amazon, and then a bunch of the others bringing quite a lot of traffic. Goat being 24%, Nordstrom 11%. So we've got a nice view on these retailers and really who is dominant. This is cool, but much more relevant, especially if I'm Adidas, is seeing how my brand Adidas is performing on these retailer sites. So we've got this really nice retailer comparison. So this is looking at Amazon, Goat, Nordstrom, and Dick's Sporting Goods. We see Adidas not doing badly, 2% on Amazon, 11% on Goat, 6% on Nordstrom, and 4.6% on Adidas. However, I immediately want to start looking at the competition, and some things stand out very quickly. First of all, the dominance of Converse. Look at this. Converse getting 36% on Amazon, 19% on Goat. By the way, Nike as well, double Adidas. Converse 18% on Nordstrom, and again 33%, 34% on Dick's Sporting Goods. So really interesting to note the competition and the dominance, but we also see Nike doing very well. By the way, I seem to be jumping between Nike and Nike. I'll find out what Americans say afterwards. Anyway, I'm going to go down to this really cool graph, competitive brand landscape. This is just taking all the different brands, seeing not just who's winning and who's losing, but who's growing and who's shrinking. It's a really powerful view. First of all, established players, this is Converse. They just have a huge brand share for this specific categorization, so worth looking into. In the middle, we've got Vans with a nice 20% brand growth, and we have Nike, which is actually shrinking, 15%. By the way, Adidas is not doing especially well. We see them right down here, 50%. So definitely worth looking at the competition, trying to take advantage and see what they're doing. Now, what I haven't looked at yet is where my eye is not automatically drawn right to the top left. This is Puma, the emerging star. And this is really interesting. Puma grew a bunch, it's almost 80% growth during this period. Now they're smaller than a lot of the players. They're certainly smaller than Vans and Nike, but they're growing so fast. I really want to see why, and I really want to understand what they're doing. So now I'm going to continue going down to, this is a really cool section, top performing SKUs. This is a full list of all of the SKUs, a full landing pages for every single product basically on the retailer sites for my categorization. Now, remember, I'm just interested in Puma because they had this big increase. So let's filter down to Puma by itself because I want to be a bit more focused. And now what I've got is all of the SKUs for Puma from these retailers. So I see immediately we have Arizona sneaker. I can actually open this up and I can see what the landing page looks like. This is the Arizona sneaker for Puma. Very cool. And I can expand this to see the traffic over time on this, in this case, on the Nordstrom website. And I can see really interesting seasonality, really interesting to note. So obviously a big increase in November, not surprising. And then not so much January, February. And then again, more spiking around April, May time. So I get a really good understanding of when the sneaker is doing well versus not well. And I can see all of these different ones. I see the second one, by the way, Speedcat OG Black White, 4.7 year-over-year growth. So this is a sneaker that's actually doing better last year than this year. Again, we have the seasonality. And under the seasonality, and we had this as well for every single SKU, is we have the top performing keywords. Now, till now, a lot of the time I was talking about keywords for the search and for AI. We're back to looking at the keyword search, an on-site search for these retailer websites. So in this case, we're looking at GOAT. We're looking at what keywords people are searching for, bringing them to this fast-performing Puma landing page. And it's really cool. We see the word Puma, the word Speedcat, Puma Speedcat, Puma Speedcat. So definitely this is what people are searching for. Puma Speedcat OG Black White. And this is a 44% increase year over year. So this is a lot of intentionality here. People are really looking, they know what they're looking for, and they found it very well here. This is exactly the kind of thing that I want to understand in as far as the success is concerned. Now, we can go further down, but really I want to get a better understanding of the keywords at this stage because we really need a good and visualization and also just a deeper analysis of the keyword traffic. So I can click this link here, discover more keyword opportunities, and that will take me to the on-site search section, which is really cool and powerful. So I'm going to jump to here, and this is taking me on-site search, keyword optimization, same category, so athletic footwear, same brand, same retailers, but instead what we're looking at is instead of the brands themselves and the SKUs, we're now looking at the keywords people are searching for. And it's just really powerful because this is exactly what you need if you're trying to succeed when competing on retailer sites. So this is just looking at all of the different keywords and the topics that people are searching for. A lot of it is branded, a lot of it's not. Shoes as well as just Converse. However, it might not be as relevant for my needs. So there's a few things I'm going to do to make it much more relevant for Adidas. First of all, I'm going to filter out brand names. It won't filter out all the brand names because it might say include Shy, which is a brand, but it does a really good job at focusing much more on sneakers, women's sneakers, men's shoes, etc. The other thing I want to do is look at the brand share. Let's focus, I don't know, 5 to 20%. 5 to 20% will give me all of the traffic between 5 and 20% of the Adidas brand. And suddenly things are much more relevant and I can really understand the battleground and see which kind of topics and keywords I'm fighting against. Declining, by the way, is men's sneakers. Kind of boring. While we have Suprema, it's a brand, but still doing well, a nice increase in traffic from this keyword for the specific search word. On the top over here, we have F1 shoes. Very nice growth. Wow, 1.2 thousand year-over-year click growth. So this is really huge. F1 shoes. People care a lot about this keyword. And I've got a bunch of other interesting options here. Slides, foam posit, men's sneakers. So worth looking at these keywords in this really great matrix. Definitely a good way to understand the traffic. But I can go down. I'm a really, really big fan in this view, which is basically top 10 ranking keywords per brand. This is the gold mine if I'm trying to understand the success of my brand and my competitor brands on the retailer sites. We notice some trends immediately when looking at these sites. So I've just chosen Adidas, Converse, Nike, and Puma. First of all, Puma on the far right, we see that their keywords are actually very generic. So people do search for Puma, but they see F1 shoes by itself brings a lot of traffic to Puma. BMW, we have men's shoes. Men's shoes by itself brings a ton of traffic and really especially tons of traffic to Puma. So they're doing something very right if that's what's working for them. I might compare this to Converse. Converse is just really reliant on their brand. When people search for Converse men, Converse women, men's Converse, Converse shoes, women's Converse, very, very much brand reliant. Not a bad thing at all, actually working really well for them. Nike is fun because clearly what people search for is names of players. So we've got Kobe, we've got Kyrie, um, we've got quite a few times that Kobe and Kyrie because and the Air Max, the classic brand of Nike, we see what's working well for them. And finally, for Adidas, we see Adidas Forum Low in the green and Adidas Men's Forum Low sneaker. So this is clearly a new and well-performing brand for Adidas working well. We see the Samba in red not doing as well, but still very important. It's the top all out of the results for Adidas. Samba really comes up quite a lot. We've got Sambas, Adidas Sambas. Clearly, this is an important topic for them. Now, the last thing I want to talk about on this section is simply that we show the real click in the category. So we can see the real click numbers, which is just really powerful in telling me the size. And keep in mind, I was talking about all four as if they're the same. But if I look at the brand click in category for Converse, 3.8 million compared to the 430,000 for Adidas. So we really get a nice understanding of the winners and the losers here. Now, finally, the last thing I want to end up on is that we have these nice visualizations, but we also have the full list underneath. You can download this to a spreadsheet. You can do some real detailed analysis with tons of metrics around every single keyword here. So you can do a full on-site search analysis. And this kind of brings me full loop to what we were talking about earlier, in that the sheer amount of information is really powerful, and you can really do a good job with looking at it. Specifically, we can now look at the AI brand visibility. We can look at all the prompts people are searching for. We can look at the responses. We can also just look at the classic organic searches. And it's something that we should do now is have a really good 360 view because people are coming in from different ways. People are more sophisticated in looking for the products they want to buy. We can actually do a very, very good job at making data-driven decisions. And we should have a full, as Daniel said, a holistic view, looking at all different keyword lists and then comparing which keywords keep on coming up, which topics keep on coming up. You can get a really great understanding of the trend lines for your industry. So thank you guys. Thanks for bearing with me. And I'm going to bring it back to everyone else.
Thank you so much, Nathan. That was a really great way to see, why it's important to really look holistically at all three channels. And, this is exactly what we asked everyone here on the call just before you started to the demo. We asked, where are you currently optimizing your search present? It's interesting to see that 30% of you did say that you're tracking it in an omni-channel way, so Google, GenAI, and retail. 45% of you said Google search and GenAI, which is a good start. But as we demonstrated today, and hopefully the message was clear, is that it's really important to add that third crucial layer of high intent when people are actually looking for a very specific brand or product in mind. So we see that 21% of you are still only tracking mainly traditional Google search. So hopefully that will change after the call. And if you have any questions about, especially the third layer, which is the retail intelligence part, which is relatively new to most of you on the call, please feel free to reach out to us after the call. Let me just quickly share my screen. Hopefully you can see it. Yeah, all good. Anyone?
Not yet. It's still not showing up.
Okay, let's try again. How about now?
Yeah.
Awesome. Always important to ask that question to avoid the situation. So thank you, Daniel. So yeah, thank you so much, Nathan, for walking us through. It was rich with details, but at the same time, if we have to summarize and distill that into like key steps, so it's really important that at phase one, as we talked about it a few times, we really need to understand how people behave on Google, what type of search they have, what kind of discovery questions they have. And when they go to GenAI and LLMs, it's really important and interesting to see how they ask questions differently, how people ask questions about your competitors, so you can really understand the sentiment and the type of prompts that they ask for different type of queries. But then, as we demonstrated, it's really important to also close the loop when they actually know what they want to buy, what they want to purchase, what are they after when they go to that marketplace or that retailer site. What are they searching when they're on site, when they have a clear goal in mind? So it's really bundling all these three phases together that gives you the good understanding of your performance against the competition. And as we mentioned during the session, we demonstrated different areas of the Similarweb platform. If you don't have access or you're not familiar with, for example, the AI search intelligence, which is the GenAI landscape, or the retail intelligence platform, which is all about retailers and marketplaces, you can read more about that via this QR code. We have great videos and walkthroughs to really demonstrate why it's important to embed that into your analysis. But as we, after the session, if you have more questions, more specific use cases that you want to chat about with any one of us or your customer success manager, please feel free to reach out to us. So we got some really, really good questions, as always, that we want to make sure that we are able to help you with. Oh, sorry. So let me just recap some of them. So give me one sec. All right. We got, first of all, to state the obvious, this session is recorded and we will share it with you following the session, so you can share it with your colleagues if they weren't able to join. One question that we got is, how did you get the AI search data that we shared at the beginning of the session? So as all of our data is a combination between our unique contributory network of actual users as well as direct data partnerships that we have with top AI players. It's really important to notice that all the data is anonymized, especially in GenAI, while we are relying on real user prompts and real user data. At the end of the day, we're not using any PII, so we are anonymizing that data to make sure that people, on one hand, are relying on real user data and real user behavior, but at no place we're using this data, and we are anonymizing that. Rice, is there anything you want to add about the way we aggregate the data and use that?
Yeah, so uh, Roy covered the sort of prompt collection side of things. With the AI answer side, we're also directly capturing real answers from AI as well. We're not using API calls to collect those answers. So the answers are always accurate and reflective of what people actually see in AI as well.
Awesome. Right, and maybe I'll come back to you with that question that you already answered about the time frame for AI brand visibility. The question was if it's just one single day that we track, or is it over time? So maybe you can just repeat that.
Yes. So, yeah, from when you create the campaign in Similarweb, we will collect data on a daily basis to capture the most up-to-date answer. So over time, you'll be able to build a strong view of your brand visibility, and from there onwards, there's no time frame limitation.
And Rice, last question, I promised, and then you're off the hook. Another question about AI brand visibility. The question was if we can get the percentage of citation whose content mentioned, for example, the Nike example, or in other words, which cited domain specifically help Nike to be mentioned.
Yeah, so yeah, we have a very cool feature called brand in citations, right? So that means we read the cited content and then we actually look for your brand name in that content. So we're able to like understand, okay, like which pages actually mention your brand, and therefore your brand is being mentioned because of that cited content. And we have that percentage in citation analysis, which we didn't have time to show today, but it's a relatively recent feature that we introduced, and we are also able to pull the exact pages as well where your brand is mentioned or your competitor brand is mentioned, so you can keep track on that on a daily basis.
Amazing. Thank you, Rice. And Daniel, we got a great question about conversion analysis. Obviously, knowing conversion rate really helps you to close the loop, not understanding only traffic and search, but also see how each visit is being translated and converted into a purchase. So maybe you can start with that. And in the meantime, I can even show like a real example from the platform.
Yeah, that'd be great actually if you show it. But essentially, we have within our web intelligence conversion analysis, which is very, very broad across a wide range of websites. We've recently increased that, and I'm sure you'll show it in a second. So that's something that is available, estimated conversion rates, which is at the website level. Within the category level, within retail intelligence, what we covered now in the context of the on-site search within those categories. That's something that we have, and we will soon be releasing that in this quarter, in the next few weeks. But it will be API only. So if you're interested in that, please reach out already to your account manager or your CS to ensure that they can connect you to that data. Again, it's currently API only, but it's very, very powerful in the sense that you'll be able to see the category average from a product up, right? Collecting the product pages within that category as opposed to looking at the entire website. So really, really granular and helpful. But it's something that, as I said, I'll let you show it, Rui, what we have in the website.
Right. Hopefully this time it will work smoothly. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Amazing. So as Daniel mentioned, and we didn't touch on that very in depth today, but basically, as Nathan was showing, in web intelligence, you can obviously see key metrics such as the engagement, the traffic that goes to my site versus my competition. And something new that we added recently is also the conversion rate. So here, for example, you can see that Nike on one hand drives more visits to their site in 2026 in the US market, but actually Adidas performs better when it comes to converting those visits to their site. And one additional step that you can do is actually go to market analysis and not only look at the direct competitors that you have, but actually look at the industry level conversion. So, for example, I can search for fashion, which is Nike's and Adidas industry. And now, not only that I can compare myself to the direct competitors, but I can see how I can compare to best performer and performers and the industry as a whole. So, for example, I can see Shane. Maybe that's not my direct competitor, right? They're not doing sports fashion products like Nike and Adidas, but them and Zara are like really, really good in converting traffic. And I can even broaden my look at other players in the market and understand how they're doing when it comes to conversion. And again, as Daniel mentioned, this is the site level for leading e-commerce players in the industry. And very soon you can add that additional layer, that deep dive analysis into the category level with retail intelligence. So again, if you're not familiar with these metrics, it's really important to add that to your analysis. With that, we are getting very close to the end of the session, so we just have one last question for you. We always want to improve our sessions and our content, so it will be great to know how did you find today's session. Let me just have, while you answer that, and we really appreciate your time, I want to see if we have any last questions. There's one question about if this session is recorded. So yes, the answer is yes. We will share with you the deck, the recording, so you can really review that in your own time. Otherwise, I really want to thank Rice, Nathan, Daniel, and especially everyone who came to our session today. Hopefully, you understood why it's important to view the full landscape and the full journey. And see you at our next session.